ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति।
अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तम् तेषां के योगवित्तमाः। श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः। ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्निधं येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः। क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतेर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते। ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः। अत चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि।
Towards the end of your last class, you are giving the example reciting, I am all powerful, all powerful. You keep repeating this chant and then ask for a coffee and see how powerful you are. Then you said, remember the law. This is a reminder. The words describing Brahman are indicators, not gunas. Okay. Next. Part of spirituality. Part of spiritually evolving requires manana, where you reflect upon what is taught in Shravana and also clarify doubts with your guru. Is there no manana in the direct method of teaching? Next. Arjuna asked questions. Janaka asked questions of Ashtavakra to attain moksha. They both don't qualify as Sishya. Please give an example of a Sishya attaining moksha. Next. Adi Shankara. From the little I understand, required you to have Shraddha and strengthen your buddhi as a path to spiritual evolution. Was he an indirect teacher? Did he have any Sishya direct student? Please elaborate on Aham Jiva and break down the metaphor. Wherever you are in the railway station waiting room. And don't make the waiting room your home, or you are at a silent airport and no announcements will be made. Right. Next. We go to God for wrong reasons. We go to God during distress and crisis like Kunti. We also go to God for Artharthi Bhakti. It's when you want to accomplish something. Question. In the Vedas have mandated Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Then why is it wrong to go to God for Artha, Kama? Isn't that Artharthi Bhakti? Why is it wrong to go to God during distress? Who do we go to during times of imaginary distress? Answer. The Shastras have mandated the four Purusharthas. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is what you have to. This Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha is what you have to seek. Are they telling you have to seek it, or are you seeking it? Because of the Vedas telling you that you are seeking fulfillment of desires, or are you seeking fulfillment of desires? So, the Veda says these are the four Purusharthas, not as in they are telling you what to do. They are saying these are the four things that you are seeking. Of the four, three is temporary, one is permanent. So Vedas don't tell you choose these four. It says these four are you, these four is what you are seeking. And then they group the four into two. Dharma, Artha, Kama belongs to the temporary and Moksha belongs to the permanent. When you are not at all seeking God, I have said any number of times, when you are not at all praying to God, it is better to pray to God in times of distress. After having a conviction about God and the Dharma and the spiritual path, you don't be in kindergarten again. You need to rise above. So it is right to go at one level and ask God all these things. And it is also equally important that you rise above it also. So in the context of rising above, we will say, don't do that. In the context of anyone not at all praying to God, we will say, seek. We will say, seek God. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, in the initial stages in distress, you will go to whom you think is more powerful than you. Where is the problem? When you are in distress, who will you go to? When you are in distress, you will not go to the people who are lower than you. When you are in distress, you will always go to those who are above you. It's a natural thing. The question is, how long are you going to keep doing it? You go to God, get rid of the distress and come back, and what are you going to do again? You go to God, you have a problem. You go to God, sort the problem out, and then what are you going to do again? Create another problem and go to God. So you will go on creating problems, and God will go on solving your problems. Is he your therapist or what? You will go on keep doing the same thing again and again and again, and he will sit and keep undoing it again and again and again. That's why he's a Sakshi. He doesn't get into this business at all. Yeah, thank God he doesn't get into this business. Otherwise, he would have gone. I don't know what would have happened to him by now. You follow? Therefore, we go by solving the distress, by solving the problem. You are not making an effort not to create the problems anymore. That's what that's what the education is. Are you able to follow now? You solve a problem. What should be your understanding? How not to create it again. Then you have learnt it. Now you have a problem. You go and solve the problem and then come back and create. Come back and create the same problem. Because you have not learned anything. Because we don't know how to create new problems, Amit. Human beings don't know how to create new problems. It's the same problem again and again and again. The language with which we will tell the problem is different. Problem is the same. The language is different. The way in which you communicate is different. The dress that you wear and come is different. The male, the female at the body level is different, but the problem remains the same. Therefore, it's not wrong to go to God in distress, but keeping him as your therapist is a problem. When will you think of your therapist? When you are happy? When you are happy, will you think of your therapist? When you are happy, you will think of party, isn't it? When you are sad, you will think of That's what Kunti says. I am so poor that I can't think of God when I am happy. I can think of God only when I am sorrow. Clear? Who thinks of God when they are happy? Kunti says, at least I'm thinking of you when problem comes. No, instead of not thinking at all about you. Are you able to understand the sequence? Instead of not at all thinking about you, at least problem is making me to think about you. That's good. At least you have considered God. Now what you should do? Start developing a different relationship with God. First, see God, and obviously you'll have a very narrow relationship with God, and then mature into having a wonderful relationship with God. That wonderful relationship with God is what we are calling as Bhakti Yoga here. You follow? It's not any type of relationship with God. There has to be a wonderful, matured relationship with God. So, yeah. Otherwise, we misunderstand it as Artha Bhakti, Artharthi Bhakti, Jignasu Bhakti. It is called Bhakti relatively. He is not saying they are all not Bhaktas. He is saying they are all ignorant Bhaktas. They are Bhaktas but ignorant. Now knowledge is saying become a knowledgeable Bhakta, wise Bhakta. Don't be an ignorant Bhakta. Become a wise Bhakta. Now what we are trying in this classroom, not to stop the Bhakti, but we are trying to become a wise Bhakta. What is ignorant Bhakta? Example. Going to the Prime Minister and asking for, you have Prime Minister as your very close friend. Yeah. You call him, he will answer your call. You can walk into, even if there is a cabinet meeting, he will tell them, wait, he will attend to you. That much of closeness you have. And he is in an important meeting. At that time, you call him and say, my sleeper class ticket is in waiting list. Can you confirm it for me? What would you call that person? What would you call that person? Ignorant, foolish. Because knowing the power, you should know what to ask. Yeah. You should ask commensurate to the power. You don't go and ask. If you don't go and ask ordinary things, it means you have no vision of God. It means you have not understood it right. You follow? So Kunti says, so dharma, artha, kama, moksha pursuit is not adharmic, but they are temporary by nature. From temporary, you have to move. Next, Katungo. Sthira buddhi and asthira buddhi. Correct. Steady intellect and unsteady intellect. Sthira buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. Sthira buddhi, asthira buddhi. Do students have asthira buddhi or sthira buddhi? Indirect student, direct student. Asthira buddhi only. And what is this asthira buddhi? Sthira buddhi means a conviction which is unwavering. Asthira buddhi means a conviction that is wavering. Sthira buddhi means a conviction which doesn't waver. Asthira buddhi means wavering. Wavering because you can still get tempted. You can still be tempted. That's all. Sthira buddhi means a person who cannot be tempted. Asthira buddhi means a person who can be tempted. And most of the students have only asthira buddhi. Sthira buddhi is very difficult. Sthira buddhi requires a lot of effort. That's the difference. A conviction that is not wavering because you cannot get tempted. Asthira buddhi means you have a conviction, but you also have a price tag. Price tag will differ. Somebody will fall for 100 rupees, somebody will fall for 500 rupees, that's all. But definitely there is a, definitely you go around with the price tag. That is asthira buddhi. Because you are sthira as long as your price is not met. The moment your price is met, the asthira buddhi manifest. Are you able to follow? So don't walk. Sthira buddhi means the fellow who doesn't walk around with the person who doesn't walk around with the price tag. He can't be tempted. Conviction it is. For all practical purposes, asthira buddhi, we will not call it as no buddhi. We don't say asthira buddhi as zero buddhi. Don't make that mistake of saying asthira buddhi as zero buddhi. There is buddhi. There is buddhi. It is accepted that there is buddhi, but it is fluctuating. Don't call it as zero buddhi. Like for example, the person who comes into the classes, who comes into the spiritual path, doing everything will falter. But then it doesn't mean that they have asthira buddhi. Sorry, it doesn't mean they have zero buddhi. Why? They falter, but they recognize they have faltered and they want to bounce back. All this is where the asthira is becoming sthira. So in thinking, don't go in extremes in thinking. Otherwise, only the enlightened one will seem to have sthira buddhi and rest and all will seem to have only asthira buddhi. It doesn't work like that. You follow? Next one. Yeah, sorry.
The problem is very common across gender and color, caste, creed, nationality, and all that. What is the common problem?
The question is, I said problem is common, words, everything differ. What is the common problem? What is the common problem of the entire humanity? Connect to what we discussed yesterday. That is the common problem. What is the common problem? We discussed that yesterday. The whole session we spent on discussing what is that common problem. What is that common problem? Ignorance is the common problem. Because of ignorance, you do a wrong analysis and you come to a wrong conclusion. So what is the common problem? Ignorance is the common problem. And what is ignorance? A wrong self-analysis and a wrong self-conclusion. That is a common problem everywhere. The name differs, the gender differs, the dress differs, the language differs, everything differs. But crying is the same, pain is the same, isn't it? Sanskrit crying is different from Chinese crying. Does it make any difference? No, crying is crying. It doesn't make that. The pain is the pain, misery is the misery. It doesn't make any difference. Tamil hunger versus African hunger. Does it make any difference? Hunger is hunger. Are you able to follow? Therefore, what is the common problem? Always remember, the fundamental problem is ignorance. And what is meant by ignorance? That's why I said yesterday. Remember that always. In your head, you should expand it so fast. Ignorance means wrong self-analysis. Based on the analysis, you come to certain conclusions. You will analyze and then you will come to conclusions. Those analysis and the conclusions is called ignorance, which is the common problem of everybody. Are you able to follow? Next one, Bodhi. When Brahma told Dha to Devas, they understood as Damba. What is Damba? What is Damba? Okay. Ram Subramaniam. அவர் தான் இங்கிலீஷ் ஸ்காலர் இங்க இல்லையா? இஸ் இங்கிலீஷ் ஸ்காலர் ஹியர். தம்பட்டம் தமிழ்ல, தம்பட்டம் தமிழ்ல, இங்கிலீஷ்ல டைப் பண்ணுங்க. People can see it. Can people see if he types it? தம்பட்டம், tantrum. தம்பட்டம். தம்பட்டம்னா என்ன? வெங்கடாச்சலம். Yeah, sorry, I can't ask you. I have to ask ma'am only. I have to ask. You won't know. Damba is an exaggerated expression of ostentation, something like that. Correct? Yeah, ostentation. அவனை பத்தியே ஏதோ always thinking about how great, you are. Either you think you are great or you think you are worst. Adan Damba. So you move from this extreme to this extreme. At morning you will think you are the greatest in the creation. Evening you will think you are the worst in the creation. இதுதான் தம்பான்னு அர்த்தம். Damba means an exaggerated self-expression. Damba. Ostentation. You want to showing off. Damba means showing off. Devas likes to show off. They like to show off their powers. Isn't it? Devas means who likes to show off. In the Kenopanishad, when Vayu came, Brahman asked, who are you? He showed off. Agni comes, Brahman asked, who are you? Show off. Damba na என்ன அர்த்தம் இப்போ? தம்பட்டம் அடிக்கிறது. அவர் பத்தியே wherever I go, I keep talking about dum. People come. Listen to what? Listen to my glories. Devas, Damba means that that vulgar display of one's own, the vulgar display of oneself is damba. That is damba. Yes.
What way they are better than asuras? When they want to kill the competitors, they call it healthy competition.
Question. What way devas are better than asuras? Asuras. Who's an asura? Who's an asura? What is the description of an asura? Ravana is an asura. What he did? What is who is asura? All the Rakshasas we have heard. In all of them, there is one common trait. Because of that, they are called asuras. What? That which belongs to others, I want. Stealing, grab that which is others, I want. All that is worthy and beautiful should be mine. Nobody should have anything. Nobody should have anything that is, if something is beautiful, whose it should be? Mine. If it is something wonderful, whose it should be? Mine. Everything should be mine. That is asura. ஏதாவது நல்லதா இருந்தா உடனே இல்ல ஏதாவது if you see something, you will immediately, அதுதான் asura. Why Ravana is called asura is because the last day of the battlefield between Ravana and Rama. What is how is Ravana standing on the last day of the battlefield? The whole lot is dead and gone. Brother is gone, children are gone, everybody is gone, and he is standing. And he comes to the fight. Till that day, Rama was fighting sitting on the shoulders of Hanuman. You know that, no? Rama couldn't afford a chariot. Poor fellow. Where he will go for a chariot after 14 years in the forest? So he couldn't afford a chariot. Therefore, where he used to sit and fight, does anybody know that? He will sit on Hanuman's shoulders and he will shoot. Last day, Ravana comes and he sees Rama standing on the chariot. Beautiful portion that is. Ravana is looking at the chariot and comparing his chariot to that chariot. புரியுதா ஏதாவது? புரியலன்னா it's okay. Next Janma we will meet. Are you able to understand what is happening? That's an asura. Everything is gone. His children is gone. Everything is gone. How he should be on that battlefield? He's comparing his chariot, and even then the lust of Ravana didn't go. He's getting lustful at the... What is he getting lustful about now? What is he getting lustful about? The chariot of Rama. Adu nalla irukudhe. It is his car is better than my car. Where? On that day you will think like that. If anybody can think like that, that person is a asura. Devas are not like that. They struggle, they fall. Devas struggle, they fall. But asuras are a different category altogether. Everybody understand the meaning of an asura? I always remember this example. He is asking Srikanth, அந்த எப்படி அந்த தேர் என் தேரோட நல்லா இருக்குதுன்றான். His chariot is much better than my chariot. Is that what your focus should be on that day? It means what has happened to him? The pain and torture, the sacrifices of others have made absolutely no effect on him. That's an asura. Are you able to follow? Who's an asura now? The what others have done for him, the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifice where they have even given up their life for him and didn't make any difference. All that he is seeing is what? Rama said, this man is not worth living anymore. Shoot him down. That's all. Yeah, at least now that man should wake up. No. I tell you, human mind is like that. Human mind is like that. Asuric it is. Devas are the one who struggle to grow. Here and there they fall. But both are not the Asuras don't make an effort to grow at all. Devas are the one who's making an effort to grow. The fact that you are making an effort to grow, you will fall. That's okay. Because they have fallen, you don't call them as Asura. Because they don't look at, they don't crave like that. That's the fundamental difference between Deva and Asura. And who's a human being? Who's a human being? Human being வந்து கமலாசன் சினிமா மாதிரி கடவுள் பாதி மிருகம் பாதி இல்லையா? ஹியூமன் பீயிங் வந்து கமலாசன் சினிமா மாதிரி அது கடவுள் பாதி மிருகம் பாதி. அவர் வந்து இப்படியும் சொல்ல முடியாது அப்படியும் சொல்ல முடியாது. You can never categorize him like this or you can categorize him like that because you will never know which form he is going to take. With Deva, you know the form. With Asura, you know the form. Human being, you will never know the form. When he will be a Deva, when he will become an Asura, you will never know. Because what is going to make him? Yeah. Are you able to follow? Suddenly he will look like the greatest saint the world has ever produced. Next minute, that fellow will be doing the worst sin that even the Asuras will, even the Asura will not want to do. Are you able to follow? Next. Asuras are tamasic, deluded. Am I correct? Clarification by Shankar. Shankar the clarification vanda, am I correct na wrong na artham avladha. Even if he is correct, you have to say he is wrong. Avladha. Shankar, you are wrong. Even though your answer is correct. They are tamasic, they are deluded. SRL Shankar geta first answer, Narayanji. Wrong. First we have to say wrong, and then only we have to proceed the discussion only. Yes, they are tamasic, deluded they are. Tamasic in the sense where they can't even look at Ravana. At that point, if he is lustful, what will you do? Given a chance, he will kill Rama and take the chariot also. Isn't it? Look at that. Look at that man's vision. Context. I heard a student comes to the wise person, asks for a solution to a problem. Student asks the wise to look at the situation in a detached and objective manner. The wise person, if he's being really objective, will tell you that there is no problem. You are just imagining. All problems are unreal. All problems are Maya. The problem is that you are spinning stories and stories, and the stories seem real in your head. If you are really objective, you will just laugh at the problems and stop spinning stories. Who said this? யார் சொன்னாங்க இத? I don't know. Whoever said it. Question என்ன இப்போ? Venkat, question share பண்ணுங்க இன்னொரு வாட்டி. I missed the question. Yes, all problems are Maya when you are self-realized, and in actuality, there is no problem. Correct. However, just like there is a ladder to spiritually evolve or understand God, is there a ladder to being objective and dealing with the problem when someone is not self-realized or is objectivity binary in nature? How do we deal with our imaginary problems which seem real? How can the even actor on the stage concept work if everything is Maya? Is there a ladder to being objective? Just as there is ladder, Ekarupa, Anekarupa, Vishwarupa and all that. Similarly, is there a ladder to objectivity? Very good. There is the ladder. There is the ladder to objectivity. Because everything, nothing is binary in nature. Binary in nature, either this or that. Yes or no. This either ignorant or wise. There is no stages at all. But life doesn't go like binary. There, binary is the way in which elementary way of thinking is binary. But then once you evolve in thinking, you understand it's ladder. It's no more binary. Okay. What is the ladder for objectivity? I said there is ladder. There are steps. What is the ladder of objectivity? First, what is objectivity? Objectivity is the capacity to say, I have nothing to do with what's happening. That is objectivity. What is objectivity? What is Sakshi? Objectivity means Sakshi. What is Sakshi objectivity? I have nothing to do with I have nothing to do with what's happening is the definition. So keep that as the definition. And then how would you practice it? How would you arrive at it step by step by step? That's what we are going to discuss now. What is the first layer of objectivity? The first layer of objectivity is you become objective to the situations and beings around. Start from the external and slowly you come to the internal. That's the ladder of objectivity. You can't become objective to yourself first. You can only become objective to you can start with being objective to the external first. And then graduate to yourself. Graduate to yourself. Graduate to yourself. Meaning, examples. First, learn to be objective to the environment. What is objectivity to the environment? Use the same formula. The formula doesn't change. Are you able to follow? The formula doesn't change. What is the formula of objectivity? What is the definition of objectivity? I have nothing to do with this. First, you become objective to the environment. What is objectivity to the environment? If you don't have anything to do with it, how will you look at it? Exactly like watching a funeral procession on the road. There is a funeral procession on the road. That's the environment. How would you watch it? Completely unconnected. The people, the group, the person who's dead, the one who's crying, the one who's laughing, the one who's happy that the fellow is dead, another is crying that this person is dead. Now you are watching that. What is your connection to that? What is your connection to that? You just move on. Why? Because you understand you have nothing to do with it. Are you able to follow? So learn to become objective to the environment first. You can't start being objective to yourself first. You can only start being objective to the environment first, to the people around you. Then learn to be objective to your own physical body. Then learn to be objective to your physical body. Then to your emotions. Then to your ignorance or knowledge. That's how the ladder of objectivity is. Are you able to understand the ladder of objectivity? Starting from the environment, the external. External means observe. Farther the distance, greater the objectivity. Correct? Huh? Farther the distance, greater the objectivity. Now reverse it. Closer and closer you get, what are you going to lose? Objectivity you are going to lose. It means what? What should be the conclusion? You should never get, you should never get closer. Right distance maintain பண்ணினே இருக்கணும். That is objectivity. Keep maintaining the right distance. That is objectivity. What is the right distance? Physically, we can measure and show what is the right distance, isn't it? They said, COVID time, what did they say at the right distance? You have to maintain 3 feet. Something they said, no, I don't remember. Maintain 3 feet distance, maintain 6 feet distance. On a physical plane, it is understandable. What do we mean by maintaining the right distance? The distance is decided by the intensity of mindness that you claim. Are you able to understand the psychological distance now? Physical distance we understand, meter, centimeter, etc. Now, what is the psychological thing? The intensity of the mindness determine the proximity or the distance. Therefore, environment means naturally you are not saying mine. Environment means naturally you are not saying not mine. You are all right there. Naturally you are saying not mine. You are all right there. Now, what is the starting point of you losing objectivity from this? Anything that you call as mine, you have lost your objectivity. Now, ladder. What is the ladder? Whatever you is the closest to you, don't try objectivity now. Get beaten up. You will get beaten up. Don't try objectivity there because it won't work. It won't work. You will get beaten up. You have to get beaten up. Nothing will work there. Second, then there is the next layer of closeness. Some objectivity. Further and further and further. So how do you draw your own ladder now? How do you draw your ladder of objectivity? Don't come from the closest. Don't start from the closest. Start from the farthest. But the problem is coming from the closest to know. You can't work. That's all. You can't work on it now. Therefore, ladder means take baby steps. What is a baby step? At least are you able to be objective to the environment first? In order to be objective to the environment, what should you be able to do? See, objectivity means what? In the distance, you are able to see it correctly. No. What is objectivity? Objectivity means a distance. The distance is making you to see things rightly. And you all have a circle of, everybody has their own circle of somebody who I must attend to immediately. Some I can wait. Some it doesn't really matter. Rest don't exist at all. We all have our own layers. Objectivity is to be practiced in your layers. This is the ladder. You follow the ladder? You all have layers and practice it in your layers. And never start with the closest. I want to be how to be objective in a relationship, sir. You can't be objective. Why? Why you can't be objective? Because that is very far. There is an environment. If I can't be objective there, how can I be objective here? That's how it grows gradually. You follow the answer? Very good question. What is the layers of objectivity? This is the layers of objectivity. That which is farther, learn to be objective to that first. Okay. Objectivity will give you the clarity and it will tell you what to do, what not to do. Objectivity means a clarity. Clarity means what to do, what not to do. This is called objectivity. Sakshi. Next. Spiritual evolution happens from a good person who's a Nastika, non-believer, to a believer in God. Ekarupa, Anekarupa, Vishwarupa, Arupa. Correct. Question. What is the correct sequence in the spiritual ladder of evolution? A non-believer in God who does good and leads an ethical value-based life, or a person who believes in God and leads a life of adharma. For example, Duryodhana and Ravana both believed in God but led an adharmic lives. Would a non-believer be more spiritually involved than them? Good. I said, spiritual evolutions happen from a Nastika to being a Astika. So, is a non-believer better than is a dharmic non-believer better than an adharmic believer? Is the question. Wrong question. Fallacy in the question. You didn't understand the ideas correctly at all. It's a fallacy in the question. A value-based person. I said, Nastika he is. But he has a life of virtues. Versus a person who's believer in God but has no virtues, values. Who is spiritually evolved is the question. What is the definition of an Astika I gave? What is the definition of the Astika I gave? Don't bring your definitions. Ask question with the definition that was given in the class. Who's an Astika? The definition. Who's the Nastika?
Non-belief.
A non-believer in law, a non-believer in God is an astika. Who's an astika? A believer in law. A believer in law. So nastika means who doesn't believe in the law. Astika means one who believes in the law. The moment the one believes in the law, what happens? Belief in the law means a few things also I said. What are the few things that I said? A person believing in the law. Believing in the law means the law of karma, the swarga, naraka, punarjanma. All this comes only the person we say is an astika. Astika doesn't mean one who goes to the temple and pray. We didn't say that. I didn't say that. The definition is not that. A person can still go to the temple and pray and be a Nastika because he doesn't believe in the God. He doesn't believe in the law. One who doesn't believe in the law but believes that God has powers to override the law. Yeah. அது வந்து அந்த சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் மாதிரி அது இல்லையா? God is not like Supreme Court. Yeah. You make a law and the court will say, I don't, I strike down the law. So we think God means Supreme Court judge. They are not about law. Are you able to follow? So who's an astika? The one who believes in the law. Who's an astika with virtues now? One who goes by what he sees. That's it. Who can't see anything beyond perception. So he sees somebody in hunger, immediately he gives something. For he cannot see beyond perception. So Nastika means one who doesn't have any penetrating capacity at all. Astika means one who has the penetrating capacity. What is the penetrating capacity here? This man is in hunger, this man is in pain, this man is in suffering, understand the background of all that, and then help. In the case of the Nastika, none of this will happen. Just seeing something. Are you able to understand the difference? No clarity of life in the Nastika. In the Astika, there is a clarity of life. But still the Nastika also can practice some good virtues here and there. He can still practice. I said it. He can still practice it. In the world, you find lot of virtuous people who are Nastikas believing themselves as spiritual people. You say no. Because you still go by drishta. Nastika means one who goes by drishta. Astika means one who can conceive the adrishta. Keep the fundamental formula. Again, Nastika means one who goes only by drishta. Astika means one who can go to adrishta. You follow? Next. Devas have pride because they have accomplished something. Correct. Is pride good or bad to have while we want to spiritually evolve? You should not have pride. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti, arjavam. 13th chapter, we are going to read that. You should not have amanitvam. First word. நான் ரொம்ப மானஸ்தன்னு சொல்லவே கூடாது. Amanitvam. He's saying that. Yeah. Amanitvam. Adambitvam. You should not have that. You shouldn't have that adamba. You shouldn't have that pride at all. To spiritually evolve. Pride means you are discounting the effort and sacrifices that others have made for you to do what you are doing. Whatsoever I am doing, I should visualize, I should understand that how so many sacrifices are happening around me for me to do this. Ignoring all that is called pride. Ignoring all that is pride. Will a spiritually evolved person have pride? Spiritual evolution means you should recognize the contribution of this. That is the very meaning of it. You follow? Krishna's opinion seems contradictory to Kenopanishad context in the Bhagavad Gita. What is a particular Kenopanishad Dharma reference and what does that mean? Question. Verse 4. Having well restrained the senses means. Now for the particular Kenopanishad Dharma reference, refer to the Kenopanishad lectures that's there. Because I'm not, it is assumed that some background is there already. So go back to that Kenopanishad things. It's there. The Kenopanishad references are there. Now, what is well restrained means Indriya Gramam. That we have to start now. We have not even started that. Verse number 4, we are going to start now. Indriya Gramam. Well restrained. Now, verses 3 and 4. That's what we are studying, no? Verses 3 and 4. In verses 3 and 4, it is said, qualities of Brahman. And then I said, they are not qualities, they are indicators. Description, for you to define anything with clarity, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha. This is the definition. When something can be grouped into these four, you can define it precisely. Jati, guna, kriya, sambandha. Jati means the species it belongs to. That's why in order to define everything, we group everything into a species. We say cat family, isn't it? First, we will say cat family. That's the jati. In that jati, there are different types of cats. What are the different types of cats? I don't know. Lion belongs to cat or tiger? I don't know. I don't know what family lion belongs to. Cat. Cat. How can you say lion and cat are one of the... It's first you group it, jati. Then you can understand what it is. So first is you group them. Second one is guna. In that, everything will have an independent property. Like tiger will have a property, jaguar will have a property, cheetah will have a property. Veetla irukra cat will have a, the cat that you have at house will have a property. So one is the jati, the second is the guna, the property. The third is kriya, something they do, something it does. Like lion, we say hunting. Vulture, we say, what is this? What is the kriya of a vulture? Scavenger. So you define anything, for you to understand anything, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha. Sambandha means association with the others. Association means how it is interconnected to the ecosystem. Then it can be precisely defined. This is how the way the Purva, the Mimams and all talks about, in order to define anything, you need to have these properties. Brahman cannot be defined because you cannot put Brahman under any, you cannot put Brahman under any jati. Which species does Brahman belong to? No jati. Yeah. Agotram, Avarnam, Agotram, it says. No jati it has. Orphaned, poor fellow. Yeah, Brahman. At least others have something to associate. It doesn't have anybody to associate. Yeah. Guna. What is the guna? It has no nirguno. It has no gunas. Guna is sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva, rajas, and tamas, which is ignorance. And Brahman doesn't have any of the gunas. The third one is kriya. What does Brahman do? What does Brahman do? It doesn't do Trishu lokeshu kinchana, third chapter. From these three lokas, what am I going to gain, Arjuna? Action, action has a purpose, something you want. You do an action because of what? Action presupposes what? Again, action presupposes a few things. You want something, you must do something. You don't want to do something, you want to go from A place to B place, or you want to clean up, purify something. These are the actions. Actions are grouped like this. Brahman, what is Brahman has to clean? Brahman doesn't have anything to clean because it is already clean. Nirmala, Amala, incapable of becoming dirty. That which is incapable of becoming dirty doesn't require cleaning up. Therefore, action means again, there are a few types of action. First type of action is want something. I do because I want it. Another reason for Kriya. I do because I don't want something. Third reason for Kriya is moving from place to place. Yeah. I am here now. 2 hours later, I want to be elsewhere. And once that is over, and then so action requires movement from place to place. Another reason for action is what? Cleansing. Cleansing is one action. Reaching a destination is something. Getting something, avoiding something. If you have all these intentions only, you will perform action. Brahman doesn't have any of this. Therefore, Kriya doesn't happen. Jati is not applicable. Guna is not applicable. Kriya is not applicable. At least Brahman has at least God has association with us, no, sir? No association. No association. Why? Snake and rope can never have an association. In the Rajju Sarpanyaya, the snake and rope example, snake can never have any association with rope. Therefore, all that we talk about Brahman are not definitions of Brahman. They are only indicators. Indicator means you can move in that direction. It's not that. Indicator bottom enna artham? Indicator na enna artham? Ordinary English word indicator. Right indicator quota, what does that mean? You are going to move in that direction. Indicator means it's a road to move towards Brahman. So all this verse number 3 that he spoke about Brahman, all the indicators of Brahman that he is talking about are the roads that is going to lead us to Brahman. They are not Brahman. They are not the definition of Brahman. You follow? This is very, very important to understand. Who will do all this worship? Who will do in this direction? Nirguna Upasakas. Those, verse number 2, he answered about the verse number 2, he answered about those who worship with the form. Now he is answering, they also reach me. Who are they? Who are they? Nirguna Upasakas. Who are the Nirguna Upasakas? Nirguna Upasakas means one who is walking in the direction of indicator. Not to misunderstand that to be Brahman. Not to misunderstand that to be Brahman. Anirdeshyam, Avyaktam, Achintyam, Kutastam, Achalam, Dhruvam. These are the words, no? These are the words. It is aksharam. It is anirdeshyam. Avyaktam. Describe, you cannot describe. For description, conditions are required. Only when those conditions are met, description is possible. When those conditions are not met, description is impossible. All descriptions that a human being can understand is defined by the boundary of the human being instrument. All that the human being understands, what is the boundary of human understanding? Human being understanding can never be Sarvavit. He can never be all-knowing. All the understanding of human being, what is the boundary? The human being instruments are the boundary. For you can never understand anything outside the boundary of your instrument. It is impossible to conceive of it. That's why even aliens also have to come in a human form only, isn't it? They also must have a mouth. They also should have a language. They will also walk, talk. They will also love, because human beings do all. So anything that human being can conceive will fall under the boundary of the human instruments. Creation is so vast that human being instruments cannot comprehend the very creation itself. The very manifest itself, the human being cannot comprehend. How can you comprehend the unmanifest? Even the manifest is incomprehensible. How can you comprehend the unmanifest? Therefore, those what he calls as the Nirguna Upasakas, what are they doing? What are they doing now? என்ன பண்றாங்கன்னு புரியல சார். We don't even understand what are they. We can't even understand what are they doing. Now, what are they doing? They have shifted the attention. I have said this any number of times before also. What are they doing? Instead of saying Nirguna Brahman, they started saying, what are they saying? Aham Nirguna. Instead of saying Brahman is Nirguna, they say, I am without attributes. I am without any of this. I am without any of these. They also reach me. He just inserted that. They also reach me. They also reach me means what? Abdina, there are very many methods to reach. It means there are many paths to, all paths lead to the same goal. Goal is same, paths are many. The political statement. There is no all paths leading to the same goal. There is all paths lead to the same goal doesn't work at all here. Why? Because here, what are they attempting to? What is spiritual path that they? What is the spiritual goal that they are attempting to? What is the spiritual goal that they are attempting? The spiritual goal that they are attempting is their identity with God. The connect with God, the identity with God. And how do they do that? How do they do that? How do they develop that identity? How do they develop that relationship with God? Indriya Gramam. Verse number 4. Indriya Gramam. Yeah. கிராமம்னா கூட்டமா இருக்கிறதுன்னு அர்த்தம். கிராமம்னா வில்லேஜ் கிடையாது. இல்லையா? கிராமம்னா வில்லேஜ் இல்லையா? கரெக்ட். குரூப்பா இருந்தா அது வில்லேஜ். ஸோ தேர்ஃபோர் இந்திரிய கிராமம். Mastering the senses, having restrained the senses. Sarvatra samabuddhaya. Under all circumstances, sthira buddhi, samabuddhi. Sarvatra samabuddhaya. That is something which is very difficult to, that is something that is very difficult to comprehend. Where do you start with? Indriya Gramam, you start with Indriya Gramam. What is Indriya Gramam? Mastering the senses. Very difficult to control the senses itself in the first place. Then comes the other disciplines. Here he is talking about mastering when the senses are controlled, easy to keep the mind in a place. Relatively easy to keep the mind in a place. Therefore, sense control is very, very is a very important aspect of spiritual growth. Another important aspect of growth is your mental state. So there are only two things spiritual growth means: sense control and mind control. That's all. Sense control is one aspect of spiritual discipline, and mind control is another aspect of spiritual discipline. And everybody wants to have mind control. How to control the mind, sir? How to control the mind, sir? How can you control the mind when the body itself is not under control? Objectivity, grosser in the subtler component. You can't go to the mind directly bypassing the body. First, you have to keep restraining the senses. Restrain. First to regulate and then withdraw. First to regulate. Regulation will give you some strength. With that strength, withdraw. Don't withdraw straight away. First, regulation is important. First regulation, and then step number 1, regulate. Step number 2, restrain, withdraw. Instead of straight away fasting the whole day, skip one, gather enough strength, and then go. So restrain and then withdraw the senses. Mind. What is mind? What is mind control? Mind control means correct the modifications. Mind control means how often you get angry, how long you remain in angry, where you don't get out at all. Isn't it? Where you just can't get out of it at all. I'm caught in that loop, sir. I don't know how to get out. I'm got in that emotional loop. I got in the thought loop. I don't know how to get out. You can't get out right now because the starting point cannot be the mind. The starting point is the senses. When the senses are under control, understand the method now. When the senses are under control, 40-50% of your growth you have attained to some extent. Therefore, handling the fluctuations as in Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya, Dvesha will become relatively easy because the intensity will be less. That's why we always start with sense control first, never the mind control. Because the sense control will give you some strength, and that with that strength, mind control can be relatively easy. Now the senses themselves are weak and mind is also weak, and two weak entities on one side, and you want to control on the other side. How is it possible? It's not possible. It's not possible. Controlling the mind is controlling the obsession first. Controlling the mind means controlling the obsession, controlling the craving. That is mind control. Control the craving, obsession first. And then slowly reduce. And then slowly you can reduce. They also come to me. They also Sarvatra Samabuddhi means equanimity means a disciplined way of responding to situations. A disciplined way of responding to every situation is Sarvatra Samabuddhi. Under any situation, you don't lose your discipline. Under any circumstance, you don't lose your equanimity. That's what is called as Sarvatra Samabuddhi. So Sarvatra Samabuddhi means equanimity, showing disciplined responses to all situations, which is very difficult, because to show impulsive responses is easy. Disciplined responses in the area where you have nothing to do. Yeah, you'll be very disciplined in the area where you have nothing to do. Yeah. They also come to me. They also come to me. Which is best, sir? Never ask this question. Which is best? Never ask this question. There are two things. A bicycle is available, bullock cart is available. Bicycle is useless if the person is lame, because he can't cycle. Therefore, to say bicycle is better will make no difference to lame person. Therefore, you can't ask which is better. Also, both are useless if the third person wants to climb a mountain. Because with the bullock cart, you can't climb the mountain. With the bicycle, you can't climb the mountain. Therefore, there is no such thing as the best. Which is the best way to reach God? There is no such thing as the best way. There's no such thing as the best way. What is the way to reach God? Dhyana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. Lokesmin dvida nishta praprokta mayanaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam is the path, is the way to reach God. Managing the mind means managing the emotions. Managing the senses means managing the cravings. That's all. So the sense cravings and emotions management. That is a prerequisite to start the spiritual journey. In the spiritual journey, you may be able, but the purpose of spiritual journey is not managing the emotions or managing the senses. Understand that. That's not the purpose. Ultimately, it will happen that way. Ultimately, your emotions will get managed, senses will get managed. But the goal is not to manage the senses and managing the emotions. You want to manage the senses, you want to manage the emotions so that when you sit in dharana, dhyana, it doesn't disturb you. Are you able to follow now? You want to manage all that so that when you sit for dharana, dhyana, it doesn't disturb you. Therefore, you want to control it. Not because you are agitated, frustrated. I want to lead a happy life. I want to manage this. You follow? Yes, Ram Subramaniam.
Hari Om, sir. So
Yes.
the query is in relation to today's discussion on Asura,
Yeah.
and I'm just connecting this to earlier discussion in chapter 10, sir, when Krishna says
Yes.
among the devotees and Prahalada. So that
Yes.
time,
Yes.
so we discussed about Jaya and Vijaya, which is the discussion, of course, from Prahalada went to Hiranyakashipu.
Correct.
So we discussed about Jaya Vijaya being gatekeepers and then being punished.
Yes.
So doing 3 janmas, getting killed by the Lord in 3 janmas, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu,
Yes.
then Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Sisupala, Dandavakra, and so on. So
Yes. Yes.
today's discussion, sir. So the discussion came up that Deva can be a fallen god because Deva is still making an effort.
Yes.
Earlier discussion in chapter 10, Prahalada,
Yes.
Hiranyakashipu,
Yes.
the Jaya Vijaya falling down, we said
Yes.
Asura is
Yes.
also fallen god because after getting killed by Lord in 3 janmas, they come back to being gatekeepers of Lord Vishnu.
Correct.
Can you please help reconcile the fallen god part applicability to Deva and Asura and
Yeah.
about whether it is different degrees of fall, something like that? So that is
Yeah.
the question.
Correct. Now, the degree of fall. In the case of an Asura, there is in the case of a Deva, there is a recognition of the fall. What we are talking as an Asura is there is no recognition at all. Again, Asura is one who doesn't even recognize the fall. Deva is the one who is recognizing the fall. That's how it is reconciled. Like, take see, Ravana, I'm not going to the story, Jaya Vijaya, you get killed at the hands of God, you'll get moksha, adallam chuma drama, adallam. Story, la Puranas, la adallam kadeve kadeyadu. All these are dramas that came much. Movie paathutu, we should not discuss these things. Ravana, take the example of Ravana. The man of the highest caliber, achieving the impossible things, fell. Achieving the impossible fell. Why? Achievement will bring about an ego, and that very ego brings about your downfall. So it is not the achievement that has brought in your downfall. What brings your downfall? The ego. Are you able to understand now? That's what they are trying to explain. In that, they want to come up with storytelling method they adopt. The problem in storytelling method is we will miss the essence and we will look at we will miss the essence of the story and we will look at the costume of the story. அதெல்லாம் decoration that has got storytellingல you can focus on the non-essentials of the story and the meaning of the story. Most of the time we will get lost in the non-essentials, the theater, the costume, the color. Don't get lost in that. You follow Ram Subramaniam? Idea is this: the person of highest caliber also can fall because of what? Ego. So what is the cause for fall? The ego. So a person who has not achieved anything also can have the same ego and fall. Clear? Ego இருக்கிறதுக்கும் அச்சீவ்மெண்ட்டுக்கும் சம்பந்தமே இல்லை. Ignorance இருந்தா போறோம். To have ego, you need not achieve or not achieve anything. To have ego, you must be having ignorance alone is enough. You follow, Ram Subramaniam? Anshu.
So we talk about we should not have mindness, and then we talk also of we should not have otherness. So where does it match? Where does it merge?
What is matching, merging now? Matching, merging, lang kelli kekranga. What is your question? You should not have otherness. Correct.
The two
We should not
extremes.
have mindness also.
Should have mindness also.
Where is the middle path?
Mindness means ownership. Otherness means if you refuse to be my slave, I will not associate with you. Are you able to follow? Mindness means what? Ownership. Otherness means? Otherness means if somebody refuses to be your slave, that person becomes other to you. You should not have this otherness means. What does it mean now? You should not have otherness means. Don't make others your slave. Mindness means don't try to own them. That's all. Otherness means they are distinct and different from me. Mindness means exclusivity, possessiveness, ownership. They are different from me in the sense of Brahman. You should not have otherness. Otherness at the level of body, mind, intellect exists. Otherness doesn't exist at the subtler layer. At the bodily level, otherness exists. 8 billion human beings are distinct and different from the body level. All of us are human, when the otherness goes when we go to the subtler layer. So otherness disappears when you go subtler and subtler. So when you go to the highest, which is the Brahman, what goes? Otherness completely goes out, because everything becomes Brahman alone. You understand? Mindness means ownership. Mindness means this is mindness springs from exclusivity. And that very wanting something to be exclusive makes you very whatever be it. You follow? So mindness is exclusivity. Otherness means
Being a slave.
an indifference. Otherness means otherness implies an indifference. So you should not have indifference. You should not have exclusivity. So without these two, I can't relate with anybody. One now, isn't it? Anshu's point is both goes away and I will not know what to do. So at least I will have one. Anshu, drop both. Yeah, drop both. Otherness also you drop. Mindness also you drop. For association, you don't need to have mindness to associate. Then what brings association? Gratitude brings association. It is gratitude that brings. That's how you are connected to the entire creation. The moment you develop gratitude, you become instantly connected to the entire creation, not to one person, not to one person or a group of people. It's not that. You become connected to the entire creation because the whole creation is supporting. You follow? Yes.
All species seem to play their role
Yes.
perfectly in ecosystem. What is the role of human and how to play?
Yeah.
Seem to be nuisance.
Human being seems to be a nuisance in this entire creation. All species seems to play a role. What is the role of the human being? First of all, other species don't have a role. They exist. Nothing in creation has a role. Existence happens. Human mind brings about a connection to all that, and we brings a relationship. So first thing, minus human beings, everything in creation exists doing what they ought to do. Role lang kediyadanga. They just do what they ought to do. Lion does what it ought to do. If the bones are broken, it will not think of committing suicide. It will just stay in that pain for 4 days and it will die. It will not cry, oh my God, why are you torturing me like this? It will not cry. It will just go through. They all exist. Other than human being, everything in creation exists, doing what they have to do. What should a human being do? Learn the lesson from nature and do the same thing. Learn the lesson from nature and do the same thing. Because nothing in creation complains. Human beings should not complain. Nothing in creation is crying out of distress. They also cry. When the lion is choking the deer is crying. And the crying but the best. Human beings cry. Human being has one unique crying, no? Yeah. Human beings has one unique crying. I don't know from where the human being gets that unique crying. It should not be there. You follow? Follow that pattern from the nature. Nothing in creation will come and say, I am finished. I can't do anything. I am done. Nothing in creation says that, no. Human being says, I can't do anything. I am done with everything. இதெல்லாம் பண்ணக்கூடாது அவ்வளவுதான். Learn from nature. They don't hoard. Nothing in creation will hoard. Human being alone hoard. அப்படியே பயந்து so they all exist doing what they ought to do. So what should a human being do? See that and do the same thing. That is the law. சரியா?